Howdy, my name is Sam Hankins. This is my weekly recap for Calm 340. I'm just going to go ahead and hop in. I'm a little bit tired because I just got done driving 12 hours back home to Kansas, but I'll try to get through this as quick as possible. So, what have you determined popular culture to be relating to the book? What's my working meaning of pop culture? That one's pretty easy. What I got from the book was that pop culture is just everything that's popular going on right now, whether that be social media, music, culture, religion, everything that is basically popular to the youth or even, the collective of everybody together, is the general pop culture of right now. But that's always shifting and changing. It can change from decade to decade, generation to generation. It can change from age group to age group, gender to gender. So it's very fluid and it's always changing, but the general just popularity of things that are in our culture right now. What are your thoughts about Chapter 2, Section 3's points on research approaches? So I thought this was interesting because as a sports management major, we have to do a culminating experience. My culminating experience happens to be research. We do a lot in the research field. We have a whole bunch of different processes, mainly primary and secondary research, and a mix of the two when we're writing papers and when we're researching. But one that I took away from the book that I hadn't seen before is participant research, and I thought that was very interesting, something that I could use going forward, especially in a class like this and with pop culture. There's some stuff that, I'd like to get out and do that I don't have time to do, and that I'd like to learn about. And I think sometimes the best way to learn about something is to throw yourself headfirst into it. And I think participant research would be something cool to do if I was researching a topic and I just threw myself into it, got to experience it, see what it was about. That way I could write a more informed research paper on it or do more informed research in general. So how does Joey teach? This one's an easy one. You covered it in the video. You said you take what we're interested in, the topics such as pop culture and then our heart, and we mash them all together to learn about it, which is how you teach in this class, which is very interesting, and I like that method. So, what are 3 things per podcast that took away from that relate to your own life? This one was interesting. I'm a huge fan of David Goggins. I already listened to that Joe Rogan podcast a while ago, but I was more than happy to listen to it again. And then the Snowden podcast I actually found really interesting. I had heard about what happened back in 2013. I was very young. But just getting the chance to hear him in an interview was actually really interesting. He seemed like a terrible guy when I was younger, but in the podcast, he actually seemed, relatively chill, and he was a nice guy, and he didn't seem like he was too much of a bad character. I thought it was really interesting, one, which I can't really relate to my own life, but I thought it was really interesting because I thought he was in jail, and I didn't realize he was still hiding out in Russia, and I thought it was really interesting Joe was able to reach out to him and actually contact him and get him on the phone all the way back, and I think it was like 2019 is when that interview was, but I thought that was really important. And then second is be really careful with your digital footprint. He talked about how the government can go in and they don't even have to get a subpoena or anything. They just can contact like AT&T. If AT&T agrees to give them all your, cell phone records, like your location, text, calls, emails, everything like that, they're more than allowed to. And I think that's very interesting and it's something I should watch out for in the future. Third, about the Snowden podcast is always check government. Government has checks and balances for a reason, but the people are here for a reason to limit the government to an extent. And I understand it does kind of national research kind of gets, or national safety gets in the way of that when it comes to limiting what they can like spy on when it comes to our citizens. But I think everybody has their rights, and especially if you're a, proud U.S. citizen who has not gotten into any trouble, they should have to get a search warrant for that information, and they should have to go through a process to declare why they are stealing your information and why are they going to monitor it. The Goggins podcast, I love that one. I've seen it probably 3 or 4 times, listened to it again today. He's so inspirational, just the energy he brings, his thoughts about callousing your mind is incredible. I love that. I've actually applied that to my own life within the last 2 years, and it has made a huge difference. I love his attitude. I love how he's talking about, when you go out and you try your hardest, usually you're given 40%. And to get to 100% means you're basically dead if it's in a workout standard. If you give 100%, you're just gonna die. So I like that, and I like the idea that when we reach our limits, we're not anywhere near where we could be. So that usually helps me push myself through workouts and stuff like that. And then third is just anybody can be anything if they want to be. Like Goggins, his background, he's like 300 pounds, was spraying for cockroaches and stuff like that. And then here he is, Navy SEAL, buds 3 times in a year, multiple 100-mile races. Just insane stuff that nobody should be able to accomplish, yet here he is, and he's the last guy you would have expected to be able to do it. When he was sitting there at like 24 years old, drinking chocolate milk and shakes on his couch, spraying for cockroaches. So I love his attitude. I love him. So that is my weekly recap. Thank you.